What's up, guys, and welcome back to this episode of the Road to Redemption podcast. It's your boy Cam here back in the lab, Grassroots Studios. So thankful to be back. It's been a couple days. I think I've gone outside my usual 3-day span. Let's talk about the biggest one that is obviously going on that everyone wants to talk about. Colin Kaepernick, Nike. When I had originally written down the note, I wrote that it was a publicity stunt by Kaepernick trying to make a big move, knowing he'd be trash at football, a.k.a. he got cut. Colin Kaepernick, now again, I'm no kind of NFL guru or anything like that. I know in 2013, his rookie year, he went all the way to the Super Bowl. I think a lot of that was because people didn't have tape on him. I don't think Kaepernick is a great quarterback, or even, I'd say maybe an average one at best. Even though, everyone will say that one year he did better than Brady and Rodgers and all of them. I think that Colin Kaepernick knows he's not an elite quarterback. So he tried to maximize on his platform while he had it. And the fact that we're still talking about him when he's not even a professional quarterback anymore says that, mission accomplished on Colin Kaepernick's part. Colin Kaepernick, from my understanding, grew up in a very privileged upbringing. He was adopted, kind of like the, what's that movie called? The Blind Side. Kind of the same deal. He grew up in a very uppity type upbringing, and then he's trying to act like he connects with police brutality. Now, again, I don't know his life. I don't know who he's had in his life that maybe have been lost to police brutality. At the same time, I don't know if maybe he's just severely influenced by the news and what the news said and what he feels like he should be, because now he's at some point in his heritage, he's an African American. I think he's mixed, but maybe he feels obligated now that he has the platform. He wants to try to use it for the better, and if that's the case, I have no issue with it. I definitely don't think that Colin Kaepernick deciding to take a knee during the anthem, I don't think that's a straight shot at veterans. I don't think everybody who's making it about the flag and saying well, try to kneel on this, and it's like a picture of the American flag. It's his right to protest, and it's his right to protest the way that he wants. So if you don't agree with it, okay, don't join his protest. But my biggest part with it all, I love football and I hate politics. I wish that they wouldn't turn the NFL into this circus. If you have a political view, that's great. Talk about it on your social media channels. Talk about it on whatever. You're an athlete. People will follow you. Look at LeBron James. But when you're on the field, you're being paid as an entertainer. That's why you get paid that much money, because people watch because you're entertaining. It takes them out of their own lives. It takes them out of the world's problems. So if you start to insert the world's problems into entertainment, what happens? People stop watching. They'll find other things to watch, because just like they did last year when a lot of people boycotted the NFL, it's not that necessarily, I don't even think the majority of the country would tune out of the NFL because of people taking a knee during the national anthem. I think most are of the belief, hey man, it's your right, do what you want to do. It may not be my way of doing things, but hey, do you. I just don't want to hear about it. So now a guy who's not even in the NFL he picked up by Nike, who Nike is the majority sponsor of the NFL, and he's the face of this campaign. And it said, be willing. What's the thing? It's a meme that everyone's be willing to do something great, even if it means sacrificing everything. And obviously people then take the picture and they'll put Pat Tillman behind it, Chris Kyle behind it, stuff like that. Which those people are also not wrong, but you're missing the point. I think they're missing the point. One, Nike's a business. They can choose to do business with whoever they want, and whoever they choose to be the face of their business and whatever cause they choose to spotlight, that's them, and that's their right. If you then choose not to support Nike, okay, that's a decision that you have the right to make. Burning Nike stuff that you've already paid for, I hope that you know how ignorant that really is. You've already given them your money, so to then burn that. I mean, I get it. You're showing that almost in that protest that, hey, the money I spent on this is nothing compared to the shame I would feel by wearing them again. Okay, that's something. That's something to be talked about. But people don't see it that way. People who hate the ones burning their Nike shit are all, well, ain't that real smart of you there, hillbilly? You're out there burning shit you already paid for. I'm sure Nike's real upset about that. And it's like, okay, yeah, by that nature it's silly. But what if he said, hey, I would spit on the dollar that I used to pay for these Nikes before I would ever show support or have their logo on my body somewhere. So yeah, I paid for them, and yeah, they got my money. But guess what? They'll never get it again, and it'll never be seen on my body again. Whew, up in flames. All right, I get it. I completely get it. Colin Kaepernick, any of them who are taking a kneel during the national anthem. We have to understand that we don't live in every community in the world, right? So I don't know Colin Kaepernick's story. Like I said, I have only what the media tells me. I don't know his reality. I would love to talk to him and get his reality, but I don't have that at this time. But there are real people who live here in America who are heavily watched, ridiculed, harassed by. There are communities where that happens by police, right? I think every community kind of has an issue with maybe the wrong people being in certain powers. So to walk around and act like people are not actually being oppressed by police, that's ridiculous. They are. There's evidence of that. For other people to turn around and go, hey, but that's not the majority. Like, you don't have the right to put hate out towards all police officers just because a few of them do bad things. And it's like, those people are also correct. You don't have that right. So we're all still coming to this place in the middle where we're going, hey, there are problems, but maybe this isn't the way to handle them. Okay, that's a great conversation that we should be having. But then we always have to add some emotional tie to whatever it is. The pictures of Trayvon Martin, the pictures of Michael Brown, and then on the other side, the pictures of Pat Tillman, Chris Kyle, all these service members who have lost their life, and everyone's going, this is my symbol. This is what I'm fighting for. When really we miss the problem. We let our emotions and we let everything in our frustrations get taken out of control. And now we're in this big anger ball of just hate and division. When really it started off, hey man, maybe we need to do a better job. I think serving Trayvon Martin's, using his situation as an example, the best way to be would be to not further cause hate and division towards law enforcement, because where I in my personal opinion, I watched the Trayvon Martin Rest in Power documentary, and it was really moving to me, because now again, I'm seeing it from the way that it was portrayed. It was portrayed heavily in the favor of Trayvon Martin. But there was evidence. There was evidence that I heard. Again, if that was altered by whoever created it, I don't know. But like, this George Zimmerman guy, he called multiple times, just saying, well, these black kids are acting weird, and he was always calling on black kids. So there was obviously already a prejudice there. Now, he was not a police officer. He was a neighborhood watch guy. He had a dream to be in law enforcement. But this guy had not even been put through the system and vetted and made a police officer. So justice should have been served by George Zimmerman, to my finding, to serve the rest of his life in prison. He was full on discriminating because of race and because of preconceived notions and because of stereotypes. He was basing his actions off those things, up to and including the shooting and killing of Trayvon Martin. Then how that went through the court system, I don't know. And how he was found that no charges could be filed, and they said it was because of Florida's stand your ground law, And from what I understand of Stand Your Ground, I don't know. I don't know if he fell within that. I don't really know if he didn't. Their Stand Your Ground law definition is very vague in the state of Florida. It's very, very vague. I think that all roads lead to that. Zimmerman definitely confronted Trayvon Martin at some point because of some assumption that he had about what he was doing. I think if you corner any young kid who thinks they're in trouble, who also probably, if he lives in this neighborhood, there's people who have already told him things about this guy and or about people like him, and that this thought process is out there. So he's scared, and he probably either took off running. And if he took off running and then, Zimmerman jumped on him, now he's being attacked. You're going to defend yourself when you're attacked. I think that all these problems have tragic endings, being death of a human being. That's always tragic, and I always want to say that. Anytime a life is lost, it's a tragic event. We can sit here and talk all we want about, well, he was breaking the law, he was stealing, he did this, he did that, and there are times when things are warranted, and there's times when things aren't. But whether the death happens because of a warranted reason or an unwarranted reason, it doesn't make it any less tragic. These people who are so mentally unstable that they go in and they do these horrific things in schools and office buildings and wherever else it is, they take lives usually, and then their life is taken. It was a life of hurting and anger and a lot of things built up mixed with what I believe is chemical imbalances and real mental issues. But it's a life that maybe at some point had another direction it could have been taken that didn't go down this road. And you don't know that. Maybe some people are destined. That's just, they're wired to come out a little off than everyone else. But to me, I have a hard time believing that. I think at some point we start taking those roads of entertainment, and entertainment can only take you so far. And I've been guilty of it. When you listen to a certain genre of music, it then makes you want to watch a certain genre of movie, and then it's all encompassing to you, and you almost become the characters because they're so cool to you. And this is me speaking as a recluse type hermit person. I like to be me by myself most of the time. Now, I've become very comfortable in that, and some of it's by force. I have never been the type of person to do this before. I've always had friends. I've always made friends everywhere I go, and I've always had people that I can call. When I moved here to Tennessee, I kind of gave all that up. Now, I have a few friends, but everyone has their own lives, and I understand that I have way more free time than most people do. So, to me, it's nothing to call every single one of my friends every day to at least make contact with them. Hey, how you doing? Any chance you want to hang out? No? Okay, cool, I get it. But after a while, you get used to, my podcast that I listen to are my friends. Those are the people I listen to the most, and they have conversations, and it's what builds my mind up. So it's kind of sad to say it, but when you get real used to being a hermit or a recluse, your entertainment values are such that it does kind of become your world. So I think with a little bit of social integration the right way, and that's why most of them, the time you see that these guys are saying that they were bullied and stuff, there's a sense of loneliness, and I can tell you from experience, a sense of loneliness really hurts, and it leads to a lot of bad things like depression and anxiety in social situations. If you've been bullied before, and which I never have, so I can't speak to that, but when you have someone who lives in this world every time they're alone, and they're alone because they're afraid to be in public because of what happens to them while they're in public, and then entertainment, and some of it is very violent and it's very aggressive, and it's all morphed into this bubble of what life really is, especially when you're that young and you really don't know any better, you're looking at this crystal ball of now what you've perceived life to be, and it's very violent, it's very exaggerated, it's very dramatic, and it's very harsh and it's very mean. So when that's all you know inside of a teenage brain who's firing off on hormones and everything, testosterone, estrogen, you got all these chemicals just trying to form and bind and create you to be the person that you're going to be. That's a crazy fucking time. It's a crazy fucking time. And now these kids, people say we've never had problems like this in our country before. Well, we've never had access to the things that we have before. No high school kid back when I was in middle school, you couldn't get on YouTube and watch 1,000 different documentaries on Columbine. And like, if you're being messed with in school and then they talk about Columbine in school and you've heard about it and it's kind of this, ooh, it's a story that you've always come up knowing about, it, and then that kid who's being messed with in school watches this and it's entertaining to him, and oh well, yeah, that makes sense. That's why this shit's going on now. It's because we're treating each other worse and we have more access to less truth. What we see, we started off saying it. Everything on the internet is not true, but yet we don't follow that rule in our own lives and in our society. We don't follow that rule. And to me, that's a big part of our problem. You have to remember that half this shit you see online is just not true. I started all this kind of with the thing of I believe it's Colin Kaepernick's right or anybody's right. If you want to protest, protest. I'm just because I would not kneel during the national anthem and just because I would not sit during the national anthem doesn't mean that I don't believe that it's your right to do that. I wish you would not televise it on the National Football League channel only because I don't want to see that shit, but that's selfish of me. If I have to sit there and while it pans for you taking a knee during the national anthem for 45 seconds to a minute and a half while the song, okay, cool, that's fine. And what you'll find too is a lot of the people who are so upset about others protesting the flag and the anthem, it's also the same people that are behind keyboards talking mad shit about our government and talking about how Trump is this, but he's not that, and Hillary's this, and this is not that. You notice it's all the people who like to call us hate and division. They do it in all aspects of their life. So therefore, that's just the type of person you are. Me, I can overlook it and go, okay, that's your belief. Don't really care. On to the game, right? It's that person's right to express that on that platform that they have. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean that it doesn't make it any more their right. So if you don't like it, put it on mute. Fucking don't turn it on until halfway through the first quarter. Don't know what else to tell you. I mean, you're an adult. You got to learn to play well with others, in a sense. I don't think it's a blatant shot at the veterans. I know that it was a veteran who told him to do it or suggested that that's how we do it. And also, it's just not. It's just not a shot at the veteran. I've seen the justice system. A story from my past. When I had gotten picked up for my second DUI, I was in a small little town in Indiana, and I obviously lost my license and stuff like that. And I would be walking down the street, and like I said, this is a very small town, and I had to walk everywhere because I didn't have a car. And I walked like up this really, 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 really steep mountainside to get from where I lived down to the city. So it was easy going down, but at some point I had to come back up the hill to get back to my house. And every time on this hill, police would stop me and they would go, "Hey man, what are you doing?" I'm like, I'm walking to work, or I'm walking home. "Yeah, is that all you're doing?" And it's like I was being messed with because my face had been put on their bulletin board as a person of interest, and I was going through a trial of sorts to get my DUI settled out. But in such a small town, I was new. I'm not from there, and a lot of them are all from there, and they've lived there for generations. So for me, I was this weird guy that comes into town and gets in trouble, and I was getting messed with all the time. So I know that there are times when oppression and things like that are used by people with power. And it's not just law enforcement, it's not just district attorneys, it's not just prosecutors, it's everybody. Everybody who has a sense of power. I mean, I have dogs. Look at the way you would talk to your dog when they don't listen to you. And you love your dog more than life, but you have a sense of power when you tell them to sit and they don't sit, you get mad. And it's all authority over dominance over, it's all that instinctual primate stuff inside of us. It doesn't mean that we're all bad people. Sometimes we just need to be checked on things. And I think again, I've talked about outrage so much, but I think we have just a strong desire to be emotionally outraged because we're not connecting to things emotionally, mentally, spiritually anymore. I think we take things at such face value, which is why Instagram is so big right now, because it's quick little. This is kind of a recap of every episode I've ever had, but Instagram is just quick little dopamine hits, and it's fun video, bright lights, cool editing, lighting's good, person's attractive, next, and it's all these quick little firing shots off of dopamine, and it feels great. But when you sit down and listen to something in long form, in the beginning, for the first couple of times you do it, it's almost fucking miserable. Because you're like, oh my gosh, they're just talking, but once you grip your mind around something that someone says that's completely mind altering or life changing for you, you're like, wow, I'm craving this now. I have no interest to sit there and I don't want to flip through Insta butt models on fucking Instagram. I want to dig deep and I want to learn more and so that way I can be educated on things. And I think that's the best way to be. But again, we take so much at face value, but it's not because we're bad people still. The people who are always looking to be outraged by something, one, I just don't think they allow themselves to emotionally connect to a lot of things, only because they don't know what they can trust, they don't know who they can trust, they don't know really even who they are. So the few morals that they do stand on, they have to be super passionate about it. Most of these hate and division seeking people and the Twitter trolls and keyboard warriors and all that shit, most of them I think live a very sad existence and they don't even know who they are and what their passions are. So like I said, they just kind of cling to whatever they think they know. It's easy to cling to patriotism and supporting the troops because it's ominous over this country. Obviously, if you don't support them, then you're this and you're that. I think a lot of the time it's just people don't know what they actually give a shit about, and they don't know actually what's right and what's wrong, because none of us really do. We all just know how we choose to live our lives. We don't know what happens to us when we're gone from here. We don't know any of that stuff. We don't know what caused us to be here. We don't know what makes us work and what makes all this stuff happen the way it does. But we know that it is happening, and we're just trying to figure it all out. So all I'll say, guys, is just try your best not to cause any more hate and division. If you have a problem with Kaepernick's ad in Nike, don't wear Nike and don't repost the thing. If that's so big for you that you'll never buy Nike again, unfollow them on all platforms and don't buy their shit. If you support Colin Kaepernick and you feel like it's a part of your duty to go with that culture, then whatever culture it is they're trying to build, then reshare the picture and spread his words, and it's all good. It's all good. Everybody can do that, and we can all do that simultaneously while not trying to stab each other in our backs and trying to cause physical and emotional harm to one another. I just don't think it's necessary. I'm going to move on from that topic now. I've touched on it long enough. This weekend, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, we got Ball State. Fucking stoked about that. Should be a walkthrough. Should be, that's the beautiful thing about college football is anything can happen on any given week in college football. So Ball State's definitely not a shoo-in, but by all standards, we should win that game. I did not open the season up with everyone. I did not watch the Eagles-Falcons game. Let's see. Let's pull up the score for that. Let's see what they did. So the Falcons lost 12-18. So the Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles, came back into a 1-0 start to start the season. Good for them. They got the Panthers next week. I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan. I don't even know when Cincinnati plays this weekend. Let's see. Cincinnati Bengals, they won 26-13, and we got the Colts. Nope. That's preseason. Yeah, I'm a dumbass. They got the Colts Sunday, which I will not be able to watch because we got the wife's baby shower on Sunday. But I'll get Notre Dame on Saturday. My mom's coming into town, so that'll be really cool to be able to hang out with her, celebrate my wife and our beautiful daughter, her soon arrival. It still shocks me how many people, there's been people who follow my account and stuff for years. It's at least 2. And, I always see their stuff pop up. They always like my pictures and whatever. And when I post, like, an ultrasound picture, everyone's like, oh, my gosh, man, congratulations. Do you know what you're having? And it's like, you've seen all of my stuff. You've seen everything where we announced that it was a girl. And it just, I don't know. Maybe it's because I take a like as that someone's actually paying attention and that people actually give a shit. But it's, most of the time just super scrolling. But when they do see something, they definitely react to it, and they're very supportive. So thank you all. It does surprise me every time. I just had someone the other day that was like 2 days ago, and they followed me since day one, and they were like, oh my gosh, congratulations, you guys are having a baby. I'm like, yeah, it's been almost, Nicole's been pregnant for almost a year. But thank you so much. It's always humbling anytime that anyone considers our family. A ton of you guys have sent stuff for Nicole and I and the baby. So thank you all so much for that. We've gotten tons of Notre Dame onesies. Somebody sent us a full care package with like chocolate for mom, Sour Patch for me, and I think it was a onesie for the baby. It was just really cool. You guys are amazing. So thank you guys so much. The Road to Redemption podcast tees are still up on ambitionthreads.com. We got those shirts a little bit later than we were supposed to. I was supposed to have them physically in hand last week, but for some reason it took a little bit longer. The guy got backed up. I'm supposed to be picking them up tomorrow morning and then coming back in time for my mom to be here, Notre Dame game. But my plan is, guys, I'm going to be real with you. The shirts didn't sell well. I think we sold like 3 or 4 of them. So I'm going to have them. If I keep holding on to them for much longer, I'm going to try to just drop the price and get it to where I can at least make some of my money back. I think we cut ourselves short on the design of the shirt. And I don't think it was something that people were as stoked as I think I was more excited to just get a shirt out then I should have really focused on the design and made sure it was something that I wanted to actually represent the podcast. But, hey, if we make our money back, we'll turn around and we'll keep improving. So the last thing I want to talk about is stepping away from social media can cause you to be happier, but also slightly less driven. I saw someone, one of my favorite people who I follow on social media, her name's Vanessa, and she posted, she's stepped back away from social media for a while, and she's been enjoying more time with her family and doing a lot of traveling and stuff like that, and came back, and she was just saying how unmotivated she was. And to me, I think it's because, when I get in those, I only can relate. I can't speak for her at all, but when I look at my own life, every time I step away from social media and dive more into my family, I get a lot happier, but then I get comfortable and I get content and I get all those things. So therefore, I lose a little bit of my drive, just a little bit. I'm not as focused on my goals because I follow people who inspire me, who motivate me on social media. I don't really pay attention to all the other shit that goes on. I see it and I analyze it, but I don't really contribute to it and I don't really put it out. I use social media as a networking tool so I can always meet cool people, and when I separate from that, I do connect a lot more with my family, and therefore that's what I'm centered around. So I always try to have that fine balance where my center is still always my family and not my business and not what I'm trying to accomplish on social media. Also, I've really been evaluating lately whether this social media thing is what I still want to do. I know that I'll always do the podcast, and if people like this, great. If they don't, okay. It's there for anyone who finds it. But to keep promoting it the way that I am and all this stuff, I had always thought that if I was a guy who had a 9-to-5 job with some hobbies and a wife and kids and came home at 7:30, had dinner, went to bed, I always thought I would be miserable doing that. And today I was driving home from a good boxing lesson where I really just kind of worked some shit out on the pads, and my trainer's awesome, and smoked me. I mean, just smoked me. And I got a bunch of the frustrations from the week out. I was driving home, and this guy pulls up next to me in this, it was just the most grayish, vague minivan you could ever imagine. It was just very Midwest. Had a little bit of rust. It was kind of dirty. But this guy was wearing like a brand new pressed, very nice Nike kind of polo shirt, and he had a watch, and he had the ear thing in. He was talking on the phone, and you could tell that whoever he was talking to, they had a good relationship. He was laughing, and he's doing all this, and I was thinking, is that bad? I mean, is that all I really desire to do? Is wake up in the morning, do what I love, do something that I love, for a job, which is a hard thing to do, because when your passions and your hobbies become your job, it puts a stress on those things, like your livelihood depending on it, and your family's livelihood depending on it. So that comes with more stress. When more stress comes on, it stops being a hobby, and it's something you feel obligated to do, and that's when you lose passion for things. But if I could wake up every day and do a job that I liked, I don't have to be in love with it, but it pays my family's bills, and maybe, a little bit extra even, so my family can enjoy things in life, and it's not just paying bills and that's it. And then I come home and I can have my podcast and have my hobbies and have the few friends that I do and hang out with them when I can, and just connect with my kids. Is that a bad life to live? Would I be upset about that? No. I wouldn't say, I can't say that I would be. I really want to make a vast impact on this world, and I want to motivate people, and I want to help people change their lives, but I can only do what I can do. I can only put my thoughts into the microphone and upload them onto the internet. If I'm, as bleak and as, what's the word I'm looking for, I guess, if I'm as bleak and common as I feel like I am sometimes, maybe that's why none of my stuff ever really takes off. And that's something that I've come to almost accept. And I understand that maybe I'm not as in-depth and spiritually woke and all this stuff as I feel like I am sometimes. Maybe I'm just a egomaniac, and I think that my ideas are better. I don't know. But that's kind of why I do this. I would rather someone tell me, yeah, man, you don't really say anything that's crazy out there. It makes me really reponder life. And that's a part of my shortcomings as a person. When I was younger, every sport I played it, but I never really learned enough to be great, because my mind works so fast. When you're telling me about baseball, I want to learn about baseball. And I really do. So, okay, I'll stand like this, and I'll put my glove on the ground, and I'll lead the ball into my glove. Okay, I get that. And then when it's not my turn, you put me in the back of the line. Now I'm wondering, how does a bird fly? How does this dirt get here? And I'm still like that to this day. People see a lot of kids that do that stuff, and they're all over the place. That's me to this day. That's how my mind works. I walk through my house going, oh shit, I need to light that candle. Let me turn this TV on, and not Netflix, but go to Amazon, and okay, stand-up comedy, and light my candle. Okay, grab my yerba mate, and okay, sit down. Let's call Doug. Let's do this. Let's call this person. Oh, while I'm doing this, I got a stand-up comedy on. I also want to listen to this podcast over here. And I'm doing 1,000 things, and every one of them means so much to me. Like lighting my candle and having that comfort means a lot to me. And having my yerba mate, that means a lot. listening to the stand-up comedy bit that I've heard 1,000 times. It motivates me. It inspires me. It causes me to get my creative juices flowing. But also, I don't want to miss the Joe Rogan, Elon Musk experience. I want to experience it all at one time. I want to experience the amazing flavor of my drink with the wonderful smell of my candle. I'm a very dramatic person. I sensory overload causes anxiety, but I can't live without it. Does that make sense? That's how completely complicated I am and completely flawed I am as a human being. But that's, I think, why some people are kind of attracted to watching what I do, is because I think everybody looks at it as there's no way that that's healthy. There's no way that that's normal. That's not a way that most people can go through life and make it work. But for somehow, just because of the sheer belief that you can, this guy is. I can't tell you how things just work out when they do. And that's because I believe that there is a higher power out there. And I choose to call it God. People can call it whatever they want. I don't think that it's this person looking being up in the sky. I think that it's an energy. It's a molecule. It's a atom, maybe. Fuck, I don't know. But there is something that kind of shifts and alters things in our world. And it's based off the person that you are, and it's based off the energies that you put out, and the way that you choose to experience life. And ever since I got out of a jail cell for the last time on October 18th of 2016, I remember as I was walking out of my jail cell, I said, one, I'll never see this place ever again, or any place like it ever again. And also, I will never take advantage of sitting outside. At the time I smoked cigarettes. I would never take advantage of being able to sit outside and look up and see the wind blowing through the trees. And to this day, when I go outside and I smoke my CBD and whatever, when I look up and I see the wind blowing in the trees, that means a lot to me. And it's so emotionally connected to me. And I feel so emotionally connected to whatever makes that happen. And that's what makes me who I am. And it's very eccentric, it's very dramatic, and it's very hard to handle for a lot of people. Because they say, Cam, you're all over the place, and you're always doing this, and you're always doing that. I am. And it's hard for you to grasp it. As hard as that is for you to do, it's 1,000 times harder for me. Because I'm trying to grasp it, I'm trying to live in it. And I'm also trying to wade through the shit that people say to me. You can't do it. I don't know why you spend so much time doing this. You invest money you don't have to do it. And by all scripts, if you just read back what I just said for the last 15 seconds, it would sound very selfish and it would sound very egotistical. But one, every time I do things like this, it always works out. It always works out. Two, I feel the most on the proper path I'm supposed to be on in life right now as I ever have before. I'm happier than I've ever been before. And I just, if my life continued every day the way that my life today went, I would be happy with that. And I didn't drive a Ferrari down to Kroger to buy my yerba mates. I didn't roll up, my CBD on a gold-plated tray. Like, I just have things that I enjoy, and I get to do them throughout my day. And the only things that really sadden me is, one, that my wife had to be at work and she's not here, and that my daughter isn't here. But I get to FaceTime her, today, later on. So for me, when I do these podcasts, I spend so much time by myself. I spend 90% of my time by myself. Even at my 9-to-5 job, my boss comes in and he stays till about 3 or 4, and then I have about 3 hours to just sit and be by myself. some of which of that I need. I listen to podcasts and stuff like that to fill the almost empty void that I've put my head into for the time of, yeah, we deal with customers and stuff, but sometimes it's just sitting. And you kind of put yourself into a place to be able to, for me, I have to prepare to go mentally numb for whatever, couple hours. I can't just do that. My mind is always searching for something else to take in and process and absorb and completely absorb itself with for at least, sometimes it's a half a second, sometimes it's 2 years that my mind will fixate on things. But that's my reality. And everything that everybody says to me, I process that same way. I take it in, I completely analyze it, I completely absorb it. I want to be every part of what you're saying, and I want to fully process it, and then I want to kick it back out with my results. And again, it sounds selfish as fuck when you let it come out of your mouth, but at the same time, my intention is to never to do that so I'm always right or I'm always on the correct side of the fence or whatever. It's because I want to better understand people, and I want to understand how I can positively impact your life the most. That's why if you tell me your story, I can empathize with it. I can be in that situation with you. I can put myself in that mindset with you because I've gone through a lot of those things. And I don't do that so that you think I'm the coolest person on this earth and I pulled you out of anxiety and I pulled you out of depression and now I'm this guru. I just want you to feel better. Right? That's why, yeah, my videos of motivation don't get hundreds of thousands of likes. But if one person likes it and it actually did some shit for them, then my mission was accomplished on social media. I as bad as I want it to be on such a grand scale, I don't get to choose that. I can work my ass off every single day and put myself in the positions to where hopefully that does happen. But if it doesn't, that wasn't meant for me, then it wasn't. And my life is no worse for it. And my life is no better if I can afford to buy a car that's way out of my budget now in the future. Or my future is not going to be better, I guess, that I can afford to send my kids through a kind of expensive Montessori school. But that's why I do all this. I don't know. That's just my therapy session, I guess, for the week. What's today? Today's Friday. I've got a busy weekend, so I probably won't be super active on any of the social medias. We got my mom coming into town Saturday. Oh, I will be active on Saturday. Notre Dame game. I'll always annoy the shit out of you guys in the news story during Notre Dame games. And then we got the baby shower on Sunday. So it's going to be a good week. I'm not going to put any kind of message or any kind of song on the end of this podcast. I think it's been long enough, and I'm going to go ahead and today is, like I said, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I will not be recording, so I'll get you guys a podcast up on Tuesday. I hope you know how much I love you, how much I appreciate all you guys' support. This is episode 44. I can't believe we're almost 50 episodes in to this crazy-ass podcast. I appreciate every single one of you guys that listens, and I'll be getting the video version up. The audio version will drop today as soon as I'm done here. The video version I'll get put up by Sunday. So watch the Instagram story for that at Cam Williamson Official. The YouTube is the same, which is where the video will go up on, Cam Williamson Official on YouTube. You guys can also follow me. What was it? Cam, I always forget my damn Twitter handle. I don't know how I do that. If you guys want to grab the t-shirts, you guys can definitely still do that. And I hope you guys grab those and show your support. Can you guys hear my dog dreaming in the background? She's growling at something. Cam W Official, and with that, guys, I am gonna take you out of here with a little smoky tune this week. I love you guys. Talk to you next week.